Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium, numerologist, healer, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there is always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hello, and welcome to the Psychic Hour. I'm Kelly Brickle, and this is the place to talk about all things psychic, mediumship, energy, and healing. I always like to just promote that with welcomeness every once in a while. And I want to say hello to everybody we have coming on in. Please ask your questions, tell us where you're from. And we love having an interactive show. Okay, so we're not focusing on readings today, but we are taking questions about energy, life, your own experiences. If you want to throw into the mix, please do. So hello, Lovebug Blues. Hello, Amanda. Hello, Debbie Pittman. Hello, Jennifer Rose. Always love Jennifer. Catherine, hi. Amanda, hello, and this is a beautiful name, Mayred McLary. I love languages. I don't know them all, though. Megan, hello. Sandra, hello. Jennifer, I love you. And double Jennifers, love to Jennifer, too, as well. All the way from England. We love our overseas friends. Hello, Evelyn. Hello. Hey. Yes, from California. Hello, Californians unite. Hello, Sierra. It's great to see you. Hey. And then as everybody continues to come in, please say hi. We have an awesome guest on the show today. She's been on before, but there's always so much to talk about. Animal communicator, psychic medium, teacher. Thea Strom is in the house, and I'm going to grab her in just a second. I'm just going to say hi to some people first because there's a lot of love. Thank you. Hello, Charlene. Hello, Dolores. Hello. Hey, Lynn. What's up, Lynn? Emma, Ona, hello. Carol, hello. Thank you, everybody, and continue to shout loves from South Wales. Very cool. I've always wanted to go to Wales. Please share wherever you are around the world or any things that you're up to current within the week or musings. Hello, Leanne. So without further ado, I want to bring in Thea Strom.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
You pivoted. She comes in with style. Hello. So I want to introduce you. I always do so in a formal way. So for everybody who knows about Thea, or this is the first time you're learning about her, Thea Strom is a psychic medium, animal communicator, teacher, and author. She has been working with spirits since 2013, both locally and internationally, as well as recently publishing a book on animal communication called Animal Intuition, Communicating with Pets, Animal Spirits, and the Energies of the Natural World. Here it is right here. Thea has, for years, been teaching and mentoring people, developing their own abilities. She is passionate about bringing out the intuitive in everybody in a grounded and practical way. She has always been deeply interested in the spiritual and metaphysical, though she didn't always understand the effect it had on her until her late teens, when severe symptoms began to surface as a result of not dealing with her abilities properly. On her own path to healing, Thea's innate psychic gifts blossomed, and she began to receive visits from spirit. These experiences, while frightening at the time, prompted her to learn everything she could about using her abilities to help others. Now, as a medium and an animal communicator, a path that fills her with immense joy, she teaches others how to connect with spirit and animals all around them. So welcome, Thea.
Thank you. And thank you so much for the lovely welcome. And it's lovely to be here again.
Absolutely. Shout out to the book.
Yes.
For a second there, I'm like, oh my gosh, where am I on the screen? But it's such a beautiful book. It really is. And this is a labor of love. Like, how many years was this in the making, if I may ask?
I feel like, so the actual book itself took about probably half a year to write kind of the first draft of it, which isn't that long necessarily. But the thing is that I used a lot of my writings that I already had from my classes where I teach animal communication. So luckily I already had quite a bit of writing that I could kind of draw upon for the first draft of the book. And then I don't know if you're aware of the book writing process, but in general, it takes quite a while just for all the other aspects of it when it's being published. So like editing, all that. So the full process from being, pitched the idea of me writing a book to it actually coming out probably was about 2 years.
Not everybody has a book because it's a process. Oh my goodness. Yes. It's not just the writing. Absolutely. But you really live what you teach. I mean, you even have courses, and you could say a school, right? Of sorts.
Yeah, in a sense, like if you call it online courses as a school, for sure. Yeah.
But you teach people animal communication and psychic mediumship. And I mean, this is your life and passion, and it's just simply an extension of who you are.
I feel like it is. It's definitely one of my passions. Like, in addition to doing the readings, I'm really fascinated by the process of doing readings and the process of helping others learn how to do it as well. To me, it's just one of these never-ending areas that I could just continue to explore for the rest of my life, probably. And so, yeah, absolutely.
There's always something with energy where we haven't experienced it yet, no matter how seasoned or comfortable we are. So if I may ask, what's something that you've been learning just recently this year with animals?
Oh,
guttural breathing.
Yes. I feel like it's not necessarily a new topic per se, but it's just like deepening and continuing to deepen the things that I already know. So like for me personally, it's been this process because this year we just brought in a dog into our family, whereas previously we haven't really had dogs before. We've had cats, that kind of thing. And so, and various other animals. And so, honestly, just the process of using animal communication with my own animals, which seems like something that's a given. Like if you do that professionally for other people, you kind of think that, well, connecting to your own animals is like step one. But I actually feel like that is something that can sometimes be so much harder because you have so much of your own biases in the way when you're connecting to your own animals. So that to me has just been this ongoing process of using animal communication in my personal life with my own animals that I already am kind of like emotionally tied to, So I'd say that's probably the thing that I've been trying to deepen more.
For sure. I mean, with my own fur babies, I have 4 cats, and they're so cool. They all have their each personalities, but I notice they're quite complicated. So I'm like, I really have to figure you out. Like, you're not just, one of them is kind of like, oh, I want to love you. Just please, you're my mommy. Please just, always give me attention, just very open. But the others are kind of like, okay, these are my terms and I need to be loved like this. I need it to be like that. I need you to give me this type of energy. I'm like, this is a lot of work and I'm happy to do so. But like, are you really making me work for it? Like, unconditional love being, are you really making me work for it?
That one's here to teach you the lessons, right?
Yeah, they're really here to teach me. So yeah, I wonder. I'm like, do we just have some animals um, that are really supposed to do that? And with the healers or the psychic mediums, I don't know. Do you notice something that you see as a theme that comes up within their animals?
Like for other people who also do this kind of work and their
Yeah.
animals. And yeah, it's interesting because I myself had a cat. She passed away last year, but she seemed to very like one, if we're, it's hard to like, we all have like many aspects to our quote unquote life purpose. But I do feel like with her, one of her like roles that she played in life was very much supporting me with my work, specifically working with other people's animals and also teaching. And she took a very active role in my classes as a teacher to my students, honestly. So I feel like a lot of the time, healers, mediums, animal communicators, if we do have animal companions, then I do feel like there's almost always one who will appoint themselves as the one who's going to be supporting us in that work, whether that's supporting the actual sessions that we do, or if it's supporting us kind of through the aftermath of the work that we do. So like helping regulate our energy or, you know, just kind of bringing us back to earth and grounding us a little bit more.
For sure. I think they all have different roles. We've had a couple of people ask like where they can find the book. And then Ellie asked what the book's called. So Animal Intuition, Communicating with Pets, Animal Spirits, and the Energies of the Natural World. But you can find it by, I'm sure, Amazon, right?
Amazon, other bookstore, Barnes and Nobles. If you have like a local bookstore, sometimes they'll have them there. But yeah, if you do a search online, or you can go to my website as well, it'll be there too. Yes.
And the website is at the bottom for anyone who is interested, and I'll pop it down too as well. There we go. So you can just click everybody and I'll take you right there. I have, and I feel like I'm talking about my animals for a second, but just it's naturally so. So I have a little boy cat and he's appointed me because you said they appoint, you know, their positions. He's appointed me as like, this is my human. And he's like jealous of the other cats. So there's other cats that, especially one other that wants to like, you know, I want to help you and be this for you, but he'll like be very, very territorial and run her off. And it's like, whoa, dude, whoa, you know?
Yeah. A lot of the work that I do, honestly, when there's multiple animals in the home that are living, a lot of it is working on the dynamics between the various animals in the home, and yeah, like navigating their personalities and what they're all needing. Yeah, if you have 4 different unique personalities in the home, there's going to be a lot of dynamics in addition to the humans as well, and kind of how the humans are interacting with them. Yeah. So honestly, like I do a lot of work with the dynamics between the animals, and but I do wonder, have you tried connecting or communicating with your cats personally or about that type of thing?
Yes, I have. And some of them are really good with learning, and some of them are more, you know, slower learners, and that's okay. So I talk to him every day. I'm like, you're a good man, like you're kind, you know, like figure this out. Like I believe in you.
Trying to encourage the positive sides their generosity with each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like tell him there's more love to go around when everyone's happy. And because
Mm-hmm.
he's all about, I'm getting in way too deep, but he's all about like feeling good, I've noticed. And he wants to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, oh, I don't like this. And it's just like, it's okay. You can feel better. Just, you don't have to get all worked up, and you have to respect her, and you have to respect your sisters. And he's just like, I'm going to go do what I want. And when I, play with them, I'm going to bite them. And I'm the dominant one, and he's not. And, he's a sweetheart. But yeah, usually he's in here wanting to say hi or something. He's very like, I want to be around my mom, and this is
Mm-hmm.
her, and she's mine. So that's his little mantra. But yes, I talked to all of them, and it's I could get into it. It's so fascinating because some are very, very sensitive, and they will do immediately like what I asked them to, and I'll just be like, hey, I haven't seen you like come on the bed lately or cuddle me. I thought, like you're not into that. And then like literally 30 minutes later, they'll do that. You just give a little space to the request, and the next day they'll do that. And it's just, they totally know.
Yeah, whether it's like slow to take it in, or some animals, with behaviors, they do things, depending on the situation and the personality, they're trying to meet a need in some way, generally, with any kind of behavior. And so I find that sometimes with my work, a lot of my effort goes into like creative problem solving of like, what is the thing that's going to appeal most to this particular animal in terms of like a solution, or how can I show them the benefit to this new behavior that I'm hoping for like, let's say the cat that's very jealous or running all the other cats off, how can I frame for him this behavior of being generous to the other cats in a way that appeals to him and his personality. So like you're saying, yeah, sharing with him like how when everybody's happy, like there's more love to go around, like when everybody's feeling comfortable in the home and like they each have their own space, the happier you are, the more loving you feel towards everybody, the more love he can take part in. Or, but a lot of the effort goes into like, okay, how can we frame this in a way that actually appeals to this particular personality and like what he's needing in the moment. And some animals need a little bit more compromising. So
Yes.
like they need you to promise, to meet these other needs in order for them to even consider, doing this new behavior that you're hoping for.
I agree with that. Absolutely. I feel like there's so much for me to say on the matter, but right, they're also different. I have another little boy, and he's like the alpha of the house, and he's like pretty cool, collected, and confident for the most part. And he's like very much, you have to negotiate. I am the boss. When I was born, I was 40 years old. Like I am, like I get to choose. This is my reality. And it's just like, okay, buddy, like how can we work with you today, right? He's great though. But yes, I do think that's important to treat them like, I'm going to put this like an evolved soul, we're humans, so we're going to do our best to communicate. And sometimes we might communicate with them like another human, but ultimately they are just an evolved soul.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all are, like we're all learning, we're trying, and I do think the higher self finds the way between the communication gap or the problem.
Yeah, I think it's one of the, that's an interesting way to frame it. Because I do think within animal communication, it's just reminding me of this. Like within animal communication, I think there's different ways to do it. The way I connect to an animal is very much like with this particular soul in this particular incarnation, with like the things that are very much on their mind in their day-to-day life, I do think it's also possible to connect to like their higher soul in a sense, like whatever that means. I'm not sure how to put that in a scientific way, but like everybody has a higher self in a sense, but and I feel like that higher self maybe isn't as concerned with like the day-to-day kind of living details of and wanting things changed in their day-to-day per se. So yeah, I think with the animal communication I do and teach is very much about connecting to who they are in this moment, which is, yeah, they are, many animals do struggle with a lot of things in their life. And part of that is because they're radically different species than us as well, with like often different needs that aren't always matched up well with kind of how we humans live our life. And so it's kind of helping them, really helping find the middle ground between their human and the animal, and finding ways in which they can kind of support each other, find compromises so that each one in that relationship feels like they're getting their needs met, which are, it's a practical kind of thing, day-to-day type of thing. And also so that they can kind of have this deeper understanding between the two of them ultimately.
I think so. And I think it's important to talk about that because animals, they compromise all the time for us, usually. Like with the environment, like externally, you could just say we're infringing on their habitat, or if they live with us, we're infringing upon their decisions because this is, it's they have been brought into our house and they have to adapt and they have to adjust. So when we go a little bit away into compromise for them, I think that's where a lot of great things happen.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of that also comes from just like understanding an animal's like just general needs and behaviors, like, that kind of thing. That's not even necessarily so much related to like the energy aspect. It's more just like practical stuff, like certain animals, certain even breeds, like have certain needs that they need met, that maybe we do have to kind of compromise or try to meet those needs too.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. There's so many wonderful comments. I forgive me if I'm slow to pull them up, everybody, but certain people are talking about they lost their fur baby 2 weeks ago. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's Sandra. Excuse me, that is Rita. She lost her dog 2 weeks ago. And Sandra was talking about all the dogs she's had in her life, and she lost her fur baby last year, and he was 10. It's bringing out the feelings for the loved ones. It really is, our loved ones in the furry realm. And then also, Evelyn's funny. She was talking up top that as soon as we started talking, she had a spider like that usually lives in her house, like come really close to her and just hang out. And it was just chilling out. She thought that was interesting. Because they're animals too. All right, let's see. Yeah, people are talking about their loved ones. My dog passed in May, I think she's saying. Oh, my dog passed in my arms. Her name was Sadie. I'm so sorry to hear that. Evelyn, animals are used to being talked at, not talked for.
Yes.
That's huge. A lot of people are saying hello. So hello, Michael Christopher. Hello, Suri. Hello, Brolick. Hello, Ava. Oh my gosh. Continue to say hi, Sarah. There's so many lovely people here. Thank you. So then what is something within your mediumship that you have recently learned this year?
That's a good question. Again, I think it's about deepening. Oh, yeah, I actually think like for me, it's more like a development type of thing within mediumship. So like going into the the practicalities of like actually doing mediumship. I think the thing that I've learned or kind of been deepening more and more into is just the aspect of how natural it can be, or like how I think for years, you know, I've known logically in some ways that the spirit world is very much all around us, and you know that's what I've also taught others. But I think for me it's just kind of come more to the forefront in my experience of just how natural it is, of just like it's right there. So I think there's less maybe effort put into it if I can just kind of, the more I can view the spirit world as literally right around us all the time, the less effort I feel like I have to put into it as well. Like putting more effort into it doesn't necessarily mean you get a better connection to the spirit world. You know what I'm saying? Like how you can like almost like try too hard
I
to
agree.
connect. Yeah. Whether that's, you know, to other people's loved ones or to your own. Sometimes like the most natural, relaxed way of connecting to the spirit world, of literally just setting the intention and shifting my awareness to that space of the spirit world that's there all around us all the time. I think that can create the most beautiful connections. And have you ever seen, it's I forget what it's called actually just right now, but it's a movie with Matt Damon. He plays a
Yes.
medium.
Hereafter, it's called.
Hereafter, yes. I feel like that how they depict the mediumship happening in that movie, where you know he's closing his eyes and he can kind of see the shape immediately of the person right in front of him, but it's sort of like this, you know, it's not super clear per se, but I feel like that depiction of it to me feels like the most accurate nowadays in terms of my own experience with it. And if I can just kind of view it like that, of just like closing my eyes, knowing that they're right there, you know, right in front of me, I feel like that's creates for the most like easy connection.
Yeah, I do think it's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we want to go in certain directions, to learn, because learning is fun, we deep dive, right? We can make it kind of complicated, and it's really just kind of finding what's right for us. But the actual connection is quite simple, and
Yes.
I've you know, relaxed my nervous system a lot to allow it to continuously be more and more like that. And I used to try really hard too. And I know that when I tried hard, I got good results. But in reality, right, that never really was kind of the winning formula for how it worked in totality. But it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's
Yes.
confusing. Because if you put in a lot of effort and you're like, well, it works and I'm helping people, but that's, you just get stressed, and it isn't really how it's supposed to be. You're
Yeah.
supposed to work hard before that, and then when you show up, you get really relaxed.
Yeah. I think it's that kind of, what I also find valuable about this, like leaning into this way of looking at it, of it being very simple in a lot of ways, is that it also reminds me of how natural it is to me to connect to the spirit world, you know, because I think when we're overcomplicating it and thinking it has to be like, you know, complicated to connect to the spirit world, or we have to really put in a lot of effort in the moment of the reading. Obviously, I do want to do my very best, but in each session, but the more I can just, yeah, relax into the experience of it, the better. But it also reminds me that, you know, it's there. The connection to the spirit world is already there. It's already in me. It's a natural part of me. And all I have to do is just shift my awareness to the spirit world. And it takes away some of that anxiety that's there, kind of that 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 can kind of build when you're over complicating it, you know?
I it goes so many different directions because I believe different now and I experience different now. Um, but I used to, not because I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna work. I was just like, I don't know if it's gonna work, but I would have the faith part. I'm just like, you know, something's gonna happen and I'm just gonna really trust. But I'm like, I have no idea if this is supposed to work. I have no idea around why let's say one medium is better than another of making sure it worked, when I was trying to figure out, well, why can some people just do it, right? So I had like tremendous faith, but I didn't have tremendous faith in myself.
Yeah.
So I had to relax, like, right, my own energies because I was just like, I know they're going to be there. I don't know how. I'm just like, I believe because it's for a purpose. But I just have to really make sure I don't mess it up and like, just even getting out of our own way. Because you could believe something's supposed to happen, but you're just like, well, I have to try really hard not to mess this up because
Oh,
I'm
yes.
the weakest link. It's not spirit. And then I've got
Right.
to learn to just like, don't think that way at all. Do not think that way.
Yeah, it's really what it is like as you develop as a medium, I find is just like getting out of your own way and all the ways in which you can get in your own way. You probably will do that at some point, probably
Sure.
many times. And it's just, yeah, really just letting yourself connect is sometimes the hardest. It's like the simplest, but also the hardest thing sometimes, Um,
I think
so.
so. What is a way where you got out of your own way besides the simplicity of just trusting that someone would be there?
Mm. For me, so one way in which I very consistently would get in my own way as a medium or as an animal communicator is I have a tendency towards general anxiety just in my life and day-to-day life, but also with strangers, with other people. So like a social anxiety in a sense. And so for me, um, I I had to really learn to like embrace the experience of being with strangers and being vulnerable in front of strangers because ultimately that's what you have to do as a medium and as an animal communicator is like you're sharing things that's coming through yourself in a sense, even if it's from someone else like an animal or a person in the spirit world. And so um I had to really learn to embrace and like love being in front of strangers, even if it's not my ideal thing. If I could choose, I wouldn't choose to do that naturally as a natural introvert as well, in addition to just sort of anxiety amongst strangers. So that's something that I had to learn in order to get out of my own way, which also means like, because for me, a lot of my anxiety manifested as like assuming the client was thinking a certain thing about me, So this is like one of the ways in which the anxiety for me would manifest is, I'd share something from their animal or from the spirit world, and my anxious brain would analyze how the recipient was then responding to it through their facial expressions. And I would always assume the absolute worst. And so a lot of the time I had to just kind of really work through that towards ignoring that. So for me, it's just been a lot of the working through that type of anxiety and how it manifested within my readings and work towards ignoring all of those things.
I think that's a real thing. And then everybody, thank you so much for all your love. We're not focusing on readings or healings today, but if you would like to talk about questions within your own life, we're happy to throw them into the mix. So, yeah, it's one thing to have, I think, anxiety because you're dealing with a bunch of different people, but I do think if you're sensitive, which the job requires, you are then tuning into their own anxieties and their
Yes.
own, feelings. And it's going to be heightened because they're like, I'm coming in for a reading and I really want this to be real. And so, like, you are,
Yes.
go
You're
ahead,
sensing
please.
that. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you can sense while you're doing a reading, you can sense the person is just waiting for you to say a certain word or say, connect to a certain person, or, they're like, you can sense sometimes they're just holding their breath until you say whatever it is that they're expecting to hear. And learning to ignore essentially the client's energy just so that you can allow yourself the freedom to work the way you need to, so that you can potentially bring through those things that they do need to hear. But sometimes, you're not going to bring through the thing that they're waiting to hear either, and just because it's not meant to happen in that reading, or because for whatever reason, it's hard for us in that moment to recognize the energy of that thing that the client is waiting to hear about. So, but feeling that pressure from the client then too, in addition to everything that you're also kind of opening up to and trying to sense, that's hard, and you have to learn to ignore it.
I heard kind of someone phrase recently that mediumship is a four-way street. Sometimes you hear the three-way street. It's you, spirit, and the client. But the four-way street was almost like the passive help of the guides or the loved ones, that aren't involved in the actual reading, but they're involved in facilitating another type of maybe why you're all there, or maybe
Yes.
assisting other things that the loved one is trying to communicate, or with you listening, or there's a lot of energies at play. And so
Yes.
we're tuning things out, tuning things in, juggling so much. And so I find anytime I get better at juggling at life, I notice I'm better juggling the communication. It doesn't always go hand in hand. We don't want more anxiety. We don't want more like chaos, more overwhelmness, because we kind of talked about calm down the experience. But there's so much going on that when I get better at, figuring out how to deal with the life in general, I just go, oh, okay, got it. I can work with more. And it's always learning. Yeah. With that, more of this and more of that.
I like also the way you're talking about the four-way street, or how like there's the fourth element essentially of the guides are helping like facilitate the session in some ways, or supporting the energy too. And one visualization I actually really like too is sort of similar to that, in that it kind of relates to the social anxiety of like when, especially as a medium who demonstrates in front of groups of people and also has social anxiety, it's very normal for them to feel extra anxious because you have like a whole group of people's eyes on you. And so one of the visualizations that I really have leaned into lately that helped me kind of feel a little bit more confident in those moments is kind of visualizing like the group of the spirit world that's behind me and behind my back. It's not just me there. It's not just me solo in front of this group of people. It's actually all of their loved ones who are showing up for the event, as well as my own guides and so on. So I kind of think that's like a pretty empowering way of viewing it too.
It is. I like that. They're not right. They're not here for just us. And to actually further tune into that on another level and feel supported, I think that's amazingly perfect. Another thing, okay, I want to talk about, because we're talking about mediumship for a second. I do think, this is just my own current perspective, and I'd love to hear yours. I do think that, the guides are very passively, involved, active too, but I can sometimes feel them handing me information. And And a lot of times that has been like, no, you have to identify exactly who's telling you this, who's giving you this. And
Mm,
it's like, sure, but I'm aware it's somebody different now. And I'm aware that it's
mhm,
coming in a different way and it has a very different quality and different purpose. And it's doesn't have the essence attached to the sitter or the client. And I do think it is some of that. And a lot of times it is downplayed because in teaching, because it's like, well, if you don't know who it is, you can comment on it, but you probably shouldn't go into that too much. And it's just like, of course, sure, but it's still a thing.
yeah, absolutely. Like connecting to guides and that kind of thing. Yeah, I guess like you're saying, like it's lacking the like validation, like a possibility of validating who it's from. Is that what you're kind of touching on there?
I think that teachers won't go more technically based teachers, they won't go into it because there's not a prior context to that experience, and it's
Mm,
more like it happens and they agree it happens if you get into discussions with them, but they're like, "Oh, but since there's context to when it sometimes happens and it's not evidential, we don't want to go
yes.
into it." And it's just like teaching is teaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is that there's going to be some experiences that are seem very random. We don't always know like how it's always
There's
happening per se.
there's enough people having some of these random experiences
Oh
though.
yeah.
That's why I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
there's like enthusiasm, which is like it happens to enough. I guess I do think people read so differently, but I do think that there's way more shared experiences. Um, and I just wish we all talked about it more, I guess. That's just where I'm coming from. Hi,
Mhm.
another medium in the house. Hello, Jess. And I want to say hello to Nancy. That was here prior. Hello, Nancy. Um, so, Evelyn was asking, what do you teach? I know that you have something coming up in October through the animal communication classes that you facilitate.
Yeah, so I have an in-person animal communication course that's happening in
Portland.
October. It's
Okay. Ooh,
it's
I just realized that I mixed it up. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
that's okay, no worries. Yeah, so I have a few different things. So well, I do have so I am teaching an in-person animal communication course this October, but right now it's full. But I do have a wait list if anybody wants to join, but in case somebody cancels. But there's that. I'm also doing. You mentioned October. I'm doing a mediumship demonstration also locally here in Portland, Oregon. But in terms of classes that I typically teach, like I typically teach animal communication online. I teach mediumship online as well. And with the animal communication, I have a course that's a self-paced course for people so that they can kind of take it on their own time. And I also do I have a couple of memberships essentially, which is where I also kind of teach through the memberships and provide practice opportunities for students too. And so I have one that's mainly focused on animal communication, and then also one that's mainly focused on mediumship and psychic work, and essentially providing an opportunity for people to have a sense of community with others who are also aspiring animal communicators or mediums, and then opportunities to continue their learning as well as do practice with each other.
So is that then the aspiring animal communication community that you've
Yes. And so if anybody's interested in it, they can find more info about it on my website. And it's essentially monthly talks that I do on topics related to animal communication, as well as practice opportunities for people to connect to animals at home or to animals that they don't know, but they can kind of do it on their own time as well as twice monthly practice circles with the group too. That's live on Zoom. And sometimes we'll also do like special practices, which is where I guide people not just doing one-on-one practice, but also working within a group. So like, doing more like demonstration type readings for a group, but within animal communication specifically. So
that's cool. I just think there's more of that's needed. And then so the class in person in the Portland area, that's on October 19th.
That's a mediumship demonstration on the 19th. Yes. And
yeah. I don't know why I keep mixing it up. In my brain it sounds right, and then I'm saying it's so wrong. But that's important. Portland on the 19th, and that is at a shop.
That's at yes, it's a Psychic Sister. It's they actually sell vintage clothes. They sell crystals. It's a really cool shop. And so, but they have an event space there. And so I'm working actually with a different medium that day, Anna Blossom, who's also local to Portland, Oregon. And the two of us will be doing mediumship demonstrations there. And that's something that we've done. We used to do it actually monthly back before the pandemic. And along with Joshua John, who's also a local medium. And so we used to do them monthly, and then the pandemic happened, and then it's been kind of shifted to less often, but it's always a really fun time.
We got to get back out there. We got to get back out there, everybody. So a couple sharing from Veronica, and also questions. So this is for both of us. Within, I guess Evelyn's wondering, how do you know if someone isn't just trying to find a way through? I guess if you have an unconventional style of connection or something comes through in a reading, she was referring. I think spirits are eager to find a way to get through and are glad to find a way through. I guess that could apply to different things too. What would you think or say on that matter?
Yeah, are we talking about in the example of just all of a sudden a random piece of information coming through in a reading? We're not sure where
like
it's coming from. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like somebody else comes in. It's interesting because I'm not always knowing how other mediums are having this experience to have like an in-depth conversation, but I've even been in the audience just observing another medium work, and they've been in mid-connection, so that they found their recipient. There's a bunch of evidence. They're deep within the connection, and then they go, you can tell their head kind of tilts, or they have a pause, and then they just go, and they'll say something, and the recipient who's in the audience will go, oh, I can't take that. And they'll go, huh. And it's almost like a message comes in from somebody else. And so someone in the audience sometimes goes, oh, that sounds like me. Or I've had experiences where I've actually felt like that was really weird, but all of a sudden they said 3 names. That's exactly right. I know what they're talking about, but it's not my connection. It's someone else's in front of me.
Yes.
And it's like, and then
this is the thing, is that, there's so many different things that could potentially be happening in that moment, right? It could be that either we like in that moment, like did misinterpret the information, let's say, and the person in front is saying no to it because we got the information wrong. My dog needs to get outside. Just hold on one second.
Oh, can we see? Like, if he's friendly, I don't know if he is. Hello. Share. Is it a female or male? This lovely black. Is she loud?
She's a girl. She's in Newfoundland. So I'm just gonna let her out quick here. So go on.
Hello.
I'll just leave the door open for her. I am so sorry about that. She's getting a little antsy.
Great. I love to see animals, and I love for them to say hi. And I'm okay with animals kind of barking, or because it's just like they're just really excited right now. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, working from home with animals is always a journey. So yeah, so like there could be that. It also could be, you know, sometimes like you will have multiple spirits wanting to come through that have similar experiences. So like let's say you're doing a demonstration, right? And you're deep in the reading with one, and then you all of a sudden get some unrelated information. So it's not for that person yet, still. You could have a different one that's trying to sneak into this reading because they have a lot of similarities too. So it's like juggling then the two different connections. It's kind of reminding me of, I did a mediumship demonstration, but focusing on animals in the spirit world. And I started off the demonstration connecting to somebody's past rats, actually.
Cool.
And the information, you know, I was unfolding the reading, it was making sense to the person I was connecting to. And then all of a sudden, I did get kind of a random impression of some severe jaw issues, and they would not understand that with their rats. But somebody in the back kind of raised their hand and was like, well, I actually had a rat that had jaw issues, but I can't take the rest of the information. And I just felt like that rat in that moment with the jaw issues just wanted to say hello and just say they were there too. And then I could continue on with the reading I was unfolding initially. So I think sometimes it is like they'll just take that opportunity to just sneak in and give a little hello because they have some similarities too. Evelyn is saying that eagers are sometimes spirits are sometimes eager to find a way to get through and just want to say hello sometimes.
I think that's exactly right, because in those situations, that I've seen it and I could note for myself or for other people, it's because there was a similarity present for that even kind of to happen in the first place, whether
Yes.
the description reminded them of their own life, their loved one, or I've even had the person in front of me where that happened, she looked like actually someone I knew. Like she just physically and energetically looked like someone I knew. So I wonder almost if, like, because we're electromagnetic beings, we're magnetizing certain qualities of energy to us, and then like we're able just to kind of pick up something rather easily. I don't know.
It is all so fascinating, and that's why I'm so glad I came into this work, because like you're saying, like, there's so much that's there to like be fascinated by. I feel like it's all so exciting, actually.
Yes, it is. It's like, why does the aura do this? Why do we do these things? This is from another medium, Veronica Jenkins. She's in the UK, and she's an advocate of so many different mediums, helping them share about their services, and she advocates for a lot of spiritualist churches in the UK. So we always like to give love to Veronica. She's a tremendous helper. She says, perhaps there is stages of ways of working with spirit and therefore teaching mediumship. So initially, it's important for developing mediums to learn how to focus on who is the communicator, etc. But once that skill is learned and regularly used and practiced, other methodologies of working can be brought in, so the messages are more focused on the individual need and nature of the recipient. I do think that is absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and please let me know how you feel. I think that there is a certain structure maybe that we're taught, or that we find a pattern in, and we go, okay, well, I know it's like this way, and then we'll get a bunch of different things after that, because there's way more to it than that. And I do think that teachers sometimes will be like,
yeah. Absolutely. It's like if you introduce too many concepts too early, sometimes students will then assume it's something else that's happening, than what is. Yeah, I think it's kind of like, let's take animal communication as an example. When I teach animal communication, I teach the student how to do animal communication, and I am a little hesitant at the start to share with students that you can do there's two ways of connecting, essentially, of like connecting in where it's communication. The animal is actively taking part in this conversation, essentially, with you. But it's also possible to connect psychically to that animal's energy and just pick up things psychically. And then once you've introduced that concept, now then they're just, it's easy to get confused. What am I actually doing? And assume maybe it's all just psychic connection. So it's almost like we have to, it's the teaching it in stages, maybe.
I think, right, you open up, there's this possibility, and it can get quite like confusing or overwhelming because I don't think there are really rules. We can debate on that. Sure, I like to be philosophical, but I do think it's important when you just go, well, this really is, and it's not so much about what it's not. Let's just focus on what it is. And there's a lot more of what life is than not, because life is crazy.
Yes.
And Evelyn, you're brave. Evelyn's such a great soul. She's very, very brave. But yes, it takes a lot of bravery to do this work. We have to look at ourselves. We have to learn about a lot of different aspects of life. I agree. Karen's saying hello. She's saying, what a treat.
Hi, Karen.
Yes, she's saying, you're so gifted and you're a pure gem. Oh,
so
gosh.
Is Karen.
She is. You both are. Great energy. We love people sharing in great energy. All right. So there was something I wanted to ask you. I think, So the question is, Evelyn has found animals to be Reiki and energy healing junkies. They actually visualize the Reiki energy as white, colored, beautiful light. So what are your experiences with animals and receiving energy?
Yeah, I used to do a lot of animal Reiki, actually. I've just shifted more to focus on the readings, but I also do a lot of talks for the organization called SARA, which is the Shelter Animal Reiki, Sarah Shelter Animal Reiki Association. So I also, animals benefit so much from energy healing. And I think they benefit from it in a way that's different than animal communication. And I actually feel like sometimes the situation calls for energy healing rather than communication. Because especially if it's done in a way where it's not like forced upon the animal is able to decide if they want to take part in the animal Reiki, the energy healing. I find that they will most often choose to actually take part in the animal Reiki. And I think it's something that can, in the same way that it soothes the human's nervous system, does the same for an animal, and just providing space and time for the animal to do that, I think can have huge benefits for them.
I think, right. There's so many different tools that are needed depending on the situation. I've noticed with animals, like they just hold energy differently. Sometimes they have a lot of heat in their head consistently. And then others, like they have fear maybe, and they like hold a lot of heat in their lower body. It's like overstimulated, and there's corresponding emotional like issues, just like a human. But maybe they need that moved rather than just addressed to talk about how they feel.
Yeah, because if we go back to what we were talking about earlier, they're having to do a lot of compromising in terms of living in environments that are very human focused. And so like for animals that are very sensitive to, stimuli around them, which most of them are, they have very heightened senses in general. So like just speaking about dogs, let's say, or cats. And so when they're having to live in environments where there's a lot of stimuli happening, they can easily get overwhelmed by that, or even just stress kind of building up in their body, or tension building up in their body. And so them having a chance to kind of release that through energy healing, which is essentially creating a safe space for them to just relax in a deeper way than maybe they've gotten a chance to just in their day-to-day life. And I think that can be profound for them, because sometimes, it's not that they're needing to express how they're feeling. It's just that they just need an opportunity to just get themselves back to a baseline of good energy and relaxed energy too. So
we all need so much help, navigating this crazy world, and animals are so empathetic. They're, empaths. I just, what is somebody, how can I put this? So we're starting to come to the close of the show. It goes so quickly. It really does. But what is something before we leave that you really want people to know about animals, like that can help or advocate for who they are?
I think, well, a couple of things. I think most of us who live amongst animals or have animal companions are often already pretty in tune with our animals. Like we have a sense of generally kind of what their needs are and all of that. But I think going back to what someone commented earlier is that animals are used to being talked at versus talked with. So we do sometimes need to create time and space and opportunities for our animals to kind of share with us as well, or us really opening up to whatever it is that they're really needing us to hear. So that does mean like actively maybe scheduling time to sit in meditation, but not solo necessarily, maybe having some meditation time with our animals. And those can be like the most wonderful times to connect to our animals, because we're actively quieting down our own logical brain and just being open to whatever needs to come through. And that can also be an opportunity to create that healing space we were just talking about. Even just us like focusing on meditation for ourselves can create a shift in the energy around us, which the animals tend to love that energy, and can create that space for them to fully relax too. So I think it's actually more just about encouragement. I want to encourage people to schedule in that time to get quiet also with their animals, even if nothing in particular comes through to you from your animal, like you're not sensing any communication directly from them. It's still really valuable to set off that time to be open to them.
Yes, I think so. All right. So as we close, I know I did it in like let's say in a 2 and 2 or a 1 and 1 to create 2. So I always give guests the last word. So as Thea, what is something that you would like to share from the heart before you go?
Well, I feel like this is such a beautiful space you've created, Kelly. I just wanted to really actually thank you. And maybe this isn't what you were intending with this question, but I actually was just feeling very inspired to say thank you for like this beautiful space you've created, not just for me, but for others and the people that are watching and all the people that really have loved to take part in the energy of the conversations we have. And I think that's really beautiful. And I do see this creating like huge ripple effects in the world. So I wanted to say thank you for that effort you put into it.
Absolutely. So no, that's not what I was expecting, but I'll take it. That's great. No, thank you. Thank you so much. And, it is a pleasure and honor to share great energy by being with you as well. And all the things that you do for other people, it is felt from your presence too. So thank you for being here, Thea.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're always welcome on the show. Please, everybody, visit theahealer.com, and she is active on social media with Instagram too. You can find her additionally with her sharings. With that said, everyone, go with love, luck, and light, and don't forget to live. We have Acts of Awakening with Suri Sawyer right after this, so please stick around. Bye.
Thank you.